Well, buckle up. Yep, get your seatbelt on because here it comes. There is going to be a new moon in the sign of Taurus at 28 degrees. This new moon will occur on the 19th of May, and it is conjunct to very intense and somewhat difficult stars, Alcyone and Algol. In a nutshell, for the collective, I'm predicting a market retrench in the stock markets, an increase in the banking, financial stories that are going on in the United States. I'm recording this on May the 4th ahead of time because of my Patreon community getting this ad free. But here's the deal. You're going to expect some kind of really deep dip into a new low territory, in my humble opinion, in the stock markets in the United States, maybe spinning off the regional banks' failures in the United States that seem to be spinning somewhat out of control and in the news cycle as I record today. The reason I'm so concerned is because of the star Algol and the United States Stock Exchange star chart as well. We'll go into that. I don't want to alarm you because I am not your financial advisor. At the same time, there are good things that can come from this particular new moon. And one of the main, it can actually bring some success and some wealth and some power because Algol, the star that's the most difficult, can go both ways. We're going to talk about that for the collective. Of course, that mundane astrology, when I talk about world events, is not my personal opinion. It is what I think the sky is trying to say about what's happening in the world. Then we will talk also about your sign. Your sign is a different story. It's not going to be the calamity that's the outer picture necessarily, but it's definitely an intensity and a new beginning in the Taurus aspect region place of your 12 pi slice whole sign houses in your natal sky. So I'll talk about where that new beginning is happening. Hey, and the Lord of this new beginning, Venus, is on the triple thresholds goddess Hecate, the sorceress, the witch, as well as a star that's great, very turbulent and sometimes difficult, but also powerful, Sirius. And that star is also in the story. So we'll talk about that. So before we get going today, I encourage you to like and subscribe if you're new. And if you are new to my channel, my name is Lori Lothian. I am using the tropical Western zodiac, not the sidereal. I'm using whole sign houses, as do every astrologer on YouTube. We're talking to you as if you are using whole sign houses as well in order to delineate general themes such as rising sign, sun, and moon predictions. You might want to cast your chart in whole sign houses. Check my description box for my free tutorial link below. And then you'll know what I'm talking about. Placidus will complicate the matter when you're listening to YouTube channel stuff. Secondly, lastly, my description box shows you everything I'm doing, the classes I teach, the courses that are upcoming, the reading schedule, how to get on my wait list, or now I'm opening it up for limited summer spots for readings, and how to join my Patreon community for $5 a month. Get all this content on YouTube that you see here without any ads, all right, for $5 a month and ad-free and early access. So if I'm recording this on May 4th, my Patreon community will get it today. You guys will get it way down the pipeline. So it benefits you to get ad-free early access content and two meetings with me on Zoom a month for a mere $5. Don't like it, you can unsubscribe anytime. All right. So let's get talking now about this sky. Well, first of all, Algol. Okay. Now, Algol is a star that represents Medusa's head. It happens to be the United States Stock Exchange has its sun in one of the charts that I use called the Buttonwood chart, May 17th, 1792. The New York Stock Exchange has its sun in that chart on Algol. Founding fathers, 1792. There's various times that are suggested for that particular inception of the New York Stock Exchange itself, but the 1792 chart has a sun in Taurus, yes, at 27 degrees, which is that star Algol. And so the founding fathers of the stock exchange energetically, they were all Masons, guys. The United States sun on Sirius, where Venus is sitting, is also a Mason chosen star. Yes, it's turbulent, sometimes dangerous, but also bringing fame and success. And it's a deeply spiritual and mystical star. So the United States sun sits on that star. Now Venus is also on that star. It's around 13 Cancer. And she's the lord of this particular new moon. And she is in a very powerful place. But she's also on the sun of the USA. New York Stock Exchange, of course, is the United States' main stock exchange. The New York Stock Exchange, when it was founded, also sits on a powerful, mystical, magical star that used to be used, Algol, to generate wealth in magical astrology, kind of like using it talismanically, all right? But it's also the slaying of the head of the monster, the Medusa, is associated with calamity, difficulty, death, and things that leave trails of corpses, behind it. So it's not that positive in some ways. Amber Heard. Johnny Depp have Algol on their Venuses. Their Venuses are conjunct, but they both have that malefic star. It brought the worst out in both of them during that trial. Alcohol itself, Algol, alcohol, it's connected. It's to do with the demon spirit. The Medusa was a demon spirit slayed by Perseus, the hero, even though she was actually a rape victim in the real story. And so the demon spirit of alcohol can be connected to Algol. And a lot of people with this Algol connection to their stars in their natal chart and to their planets may suffer with addictions or calamitous events. In case of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, calamity in their love life, especially when the two of them got together, Algol on Algol, Venus on Venus, we saw the disaster unfold. And there was a lot of alcohol and other intoxicant abuse between the two of them together. And so what I'd say with this is this: there is a very dangerous star happening on a new moon on the 19th of May. What are you going to do? And then Alcyone. So I'm going to share a little bit about that. And I don't want to bring you down. I really don't. Your all signs won't be so down, right? It really won't feel like the sky is falling Chicken Little. For some of you, it could even be in a very auspicious place in your sky, like the house of good spirit, and it could even just bring wealth. So if you don't want to have any real life advice given to you about the stock markets and stuff like that, then don't listen any further. I'm not your financial advisor, obviously, and please never do take advice from an astrologer for your medical or financial stuff. But I want to talk about where these stars are. So Alcyone is up there, as well as Algol, near that 28th degree particular new moon in Taurus. And I guess the only saving grace maybe is that Jupiter's at home in Taurus at the time, a benefic planet trying to hold fort. But Jupiter's connecting to the North Node Rahu, and that has also been associated with like the stock market collapse in 1929. Yes, in 1929, Jupiter Rahu co-joined in May, and then as things unfolded after that, we had the 1929 stock market crash. So Jupiter and Rahu are together in Taurus, and now we have this Algol-infused new moon at 19th of the month at 28 degrees of Taurus. So I want to talk about Alcyone. The Alcyone is one of the Pleiades stars, right? So the Pleiades, the seven sisters, we all know about Pleiades because of the modern bringers of the dawn, Barbara Marciniak. The Pleiadians are speaking. Well, the ancients didn't consider the Pleiades necessarily positive, and they thought of them as perhaps malefic. So there's a lot of questions about how that is, why that is so, but let's just keep going. I want to bring this one little paragraph out from Dr. Eric Morse, The Living Stars. This is one, if you go to see Astrology King and all the stuff he writes about the stars, he does a great write-up. He's resourcing a lot of material from The Living Stars. So The Living Stars will say this, okay? As a whole, the Pleiades group, Alcyone included, is associated for its deep sorrows and its tragedies, bereavements showing strongly with this star. Bereavements showing strongly with this star. Is positioned by longitude soon after Algol in Perseus may account for the gloomy quality, since Algol is so much connotated with violent death and mundane astrology, and of course that means bereavement for someone else. So then he goes on to say he doesn't always see Algol looking that positive. I know a guy with Algol and a son, and he's facing bankruptcy right now. My sister has Algol and her son, and she's legally blind and had a lot of turbulent, calamitous things happened. I mean, they can't pretend that the whole of the sky is always positive, but we need negatives in our life. We need the downdrafts to see what an updraft feels like. You know, it's like Khalil Gibran in The Prophet says that the depth of your sorrow will carve the space for your joy. So how can we say life is good when we don't know what life is bad feels like? So yes, we have negative things, in quotes, negative, difficult circumstances. It's called life, guys. It's called life. If you've never had anything bad happen to you, you probably don't have anything that you can appreciate that's good, because it's all just sort of a monochrome palette, right? So now we're going to talk a little bit about Algol according to this particular book. And this is what we have here. Algol often does show up with disastrous accidents and death at the climax, but we must remember that our too common state of disbelief in life beyond this one event since birth, that this is not the all of us. We fear because we do not believe, and we fear to overcome our fear, lest we be fearless of death, lest to be fearless of death should somehow cause us to love mortal life the less. Love that. So I don't know. I don't know. This Algol star, it's really connected to symbols in the sky, like the Taurus sector of the United States Sibley chart, where it's happening has to do with the working class people, the everyday people, the labor markets. Sirius, where Venus is sitting, is in the house of the stock market in the U.S. Sibley chart. She is the lord of this particularly difficult new moon. And she's on the sun of the United States of America. So it is definitely what we call officially gnarly. Yep, I'm going to use that word, gnarly. Finally, there's another element I want to bring in, and that is another case of Alcyone being connected to Alkaid, the star of female mourners. And the reason this could happen, and Alkaid is suggested with funerary processions and sorrow and mourners. Alkaid was highly active when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. I believe it was on her there was a transit in her chart that connected to that star, and there was a lot of female mourners when a Supreme Court female justice passed. So the star of female mourners is in a tight trine to Alcyone aspectually, and so there's also connected to this Alkaid star, maybe having something to do with mourning and females. There's another element of Alkaid as well, which is the tribal chieftain. So there could be some mass mourning over the loss of a chief, king, leader, ruler, as well, maybe just by derivative association to Alkaid, where Alcyone trines Alkaid tightly. Now, I'll show you the sky, and I'll give you a lay of the land, what it looks like. We will do all signs, but I will say, it's a combination of circumstances. On the 27th of May, you'll see what I'm talking about. On the 27th of May, and then you can flank it a week or two before and after, Jupiter will combine his forces with Rahu, the North Node, which is considered a demon. We got demons everywhere. We got demons on Algol. There's Algol at 26 degrees currently, and there's 28 degrees new moon. It is in range of Algol in technical astrology. It makes the cut. And there's Alcyone on the other side of this new moon. Technically, Algol has a little more dignity here because Algol is actually connected by the same sign. But when we look at Jupiter, he's on Apophis, the enemy of the sun god Ra, this force of evil that tries to destroy the goodness, or, it's kind of a dark archetype. And he's also, during the moon, conjunct the North Node Rahu, the head of the serpent, also considered a demon. In India, they don't like this Jupiter demon transit that happens when Jupiter and North Node conjunct already. And the last time Jupiter and North Node came together here, it was during 1929 in the month of May, and then we had the stock market crash then. Just so you know this, that there is an eclipse that did happen. And then on the 27th of May, Jupiter and Rahu become completely connected. Just to be clear, there was an eclipse in November. I think it was the 19th of November, 2021. It was a partial eclipse. I mean, partial in the sense that the nodes were divided between signs, finishing up the Gemini cycle and moving into the Taurus cycle. That eclipse was at 27 or so degrees on Algol of Taurus. Well, I went back and looked at the New York Exchange Composite Index, and that was the peak of the stock market height at 17,000 and change. And then everything's been downhill since then. The stock market has been reversing course and heading downhill, New York Stock Exchange, ever since November of 2021, when we had an eclipse on Algol on the sun of the New York Stock Exchange. Are you tracking with me? I'll say it one more time. November 2021, there was an eclipse on the sun of the Buttonwood chart from May 17th, 1792 on the New York Stock Exchange chart. That began, there was a downdraft, a sell-off. The Omicron variant was announced. It caused the market to sell off. Then inflation numbers looked better than they thought they would, and the market sold back up, and it briefly peaked out a month later in December, but then it kept going down. The actual peak would have been in November of 2021. That's not just the peak recently. That's the all-time peak for the New York Stock Exchange. New York Stock Exchange was kind of in a trading pattern, holding, never going anywhere until Nixon decoupled the US dollar from the gold standard. And then that stock market began to go up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And it's been on a curve ever since. And now it looks exponential, like it looks like a rocket ship in the last 5 years, relatively speaking. And that simply is not sustainable. So we're looking at a massive, perhaps correction. I think it's, what's this guy's name? He thinks we're due for a once every 75-year odd market sell-off correction. He has said it before. Bill, is it Bill? The guy who does that, financial astrology. Anyway, I'm not tracking with him right now, so I can't repeat what he said or hasn't said recently. But if we're in for like an epochal correction of some sort that we haven't seen for a long time, it might be tracking very much with all kinds of calamities that have happened as well. When Jupiter and Rahu, North Node, Jupiter get together in the sky. And then we've been having eclipses, November 21 with Algol involved on the sun of the New York Stock Exchange. And yes, of course, this new moon is not an eclipse. All right. What this new moon is a new moon, but it is a dark moon. Things are happening in the dark, and it is a difficult star connected to it. I think that with Venus in Cancer on fixed star Sirius, as you can see, and Hecate, the triple thresholds goddess, mother, maiden, crone, the sorceress, the witch that connected to ghosties. It's in the U.S. Sibley chart, 8th house, FYI. That's the 8th house of the United States natal chart, according to the Sibley chart. That's stock market stuff. And the sun of the United States is involved. And even though Venus is not in bad condition here, right? She's in neutral condition or dignity. We have an anaretic Mars, which is highly, highly turbulent in the house of stock markets as general principle USA markets, USA house of finance. So we have a very anaretic, intense, completing degree of Mars, which are always full of intensity, and Mars is out of dignity. So, and we have Neptune in a trine. Neptune can bring all kinds of conflation and confusion and delusion. And that's Neptune in the 4th house of the USA, the 4th house of maybe the White House or the opposing party to the ruling party. So as I record this today, my suspicion is that the regional bank stories that are coming out, Fortune magazine, billionaires are afraid that right now we're going to see an irreversible, unstoppable problem with regional banks collapsing. And then the U.S. government or Biden going, it's all good, no need to worry. So regional banks failing may seem like a small deal, but they're not. Okay, because it undermines confidence in the banking system, both of the U.S., both domestically and internationally, which can mean it can draw the value of the U.S. dollar down at the very least. There's precedent for the U.S. dollar also suffering under Jupiter-Rahu transit. So long story short, buckle up. This is your politically unmotivated Canadian astrologer speaking from the sidelines, looking at the sky. That's what all I'm going to tell you, and in terms of some kind of tribal chieftain, Alkaid by trine getting in the mix, Jupiter means leader, king, person in power. Apophis is an interesting asteroid. Not one that I use a lot, but Jupiter on Apophis with the North Node, with this new moon, with Algol. Let me tell you what it says about Apophis. Oh my goodness, let me read it to you, okay? Because it's not my main asteroid that I use, but it's a pretty intense babe of a darker storyline. Hang on, asteroid aspects Apophis. So Apophis, which is actually squaring Pluto as well as being conjunct Jupiter. Remember, Pluto is in Aquarius. So Apophis squaring Pluto in Aquarius, conjunct king, leader, right? There's that story that they tried to assassinate with 2 little like firecracker missiles over the Kremlin, Putin, and then Putin saying it was the US and the US saying it was Putin and the Ukraine saying it wasn't us and everybody else putting up their hands. Well, anyway, I don't think that that's what we're looking at, by the way, with this what's coming up, but the word assassination does make me think of Algol type things, right? So Pluto square Apophis at the same time Pluto is conjunct Jupiter on Rahu. Apophis, asteroid 99942, is the enemy of the sun god Ra. Sun gods are kings. Sun gods are queens. Sun gods are world leaders, according to the archetype of a sun god. The uncreator, the evil serpent that dwells in eternal darkness and tries to swallow Ra, the sun god, the prime minister, the premier, the leader, the world leader, the king, a darkness inside that threatens to wreak havoc, inner battle against darkness, feeling helpless against the real or apparent evil, the need to reinvent oneself following a fall due to giving into the dark side. A fall, dark side, reinvention, difficulty. I don't think I can sell this enough. It doesn't look too good. So it looks to me mostly about the financial markets, but I wouldn't rule out something going on with a seriously difficult challenge to some world leader that could be calamitous and induce some kind of weeping sisters of the Pleiades, the sorrowful sisters of the Pleiades kicking into gear to do some serious crying, basically. Anything else? I'm sorry, guys. I wish I could be a bearer of better news. My sister gets to timestamp this stuff for me. She's probably going, OMG, do we have to talk about this? So that's that. I'm going to do the all signs, and I will probably do an update video for everybody closer to this actual new moon, given that by then I'll know what has happened in the markets. So you don't forget, this is being recorded May the 4th, and I probably put it out into the world around May the 8th or so, after the eclipse of Cinco de Mayo of May 5th. Alrighty. So let's go through the all signs story. I'm not going to whip the chart around in front of you, because a new moon means that the moon is moving really quickly, and you're just going to get dizzy trying to track the moon as it leaves the sign of Taurus. All right. So it's not an easy visual display for you guys. So I won't do it that way. So I'm going to stop my share because I lost where the hell I was. I'm like, where am I sharing again? And we're going to talk about all signs. Anything else I want to say? Just remember, degrees matter, right? This is an eclipse that happened around 27 degrees in May of 2021. So who would have felt that most back in the day? And also this new moon are people with their sun, moon, or more accurately rising sign near 27 degrees or so of Taurus, 27 degrees or so of Scorpio, 27 degrees or so of Aquarius and Leo as well. These are angular to the energy of the new moon. Therefore, they're very intense energies, and they're very specifically pivotal for those people with a sun, moon, or ascendant in the fixed signs of Taurus and Scorpio, Leo and Aquarius near 27 degrees. The tightest, 3 degrees away on either side, right? 29 to 24 degrees. You're really going to feel this quite intensely. And let's get talking about your sign. I also want to point out the idea of something for you guys. I want you to think about how you relate to this particular sky event based on ideally your rising sign, right? So if you don't know how to do your rising sign, check my description box for how to calculate your chart and whole sign houses using free online software, free tutorial, and you can do your rising sign. You'll need your birth time. But anyway, I want to just point out, there's an idea in ancient astrology that aversions, which in modern astrology are inconjuncts, 150 degrees away, or semi-sextiles 30 degrees away or a sign away, are not accurate indicators of things. In other words, there's an aversion means they don't actually work. There's no contact really, it's off duty. And to some extent that's true. So it's like, if you think of the signs that flank this particular Taurus new moon, and that include the eclipse of 2021 and the entire eclipse cycle that's been moving through the Taurus axis for the last year and a half, then it's going to be Aries, right, and Gemini flanking the Taurus part of the sky that are not feeling this at all, or very little, or are kind of humming along on the sidelines. I kind of jokingly say eating their popcorn. And similarly, at 150 degrees away, the signs of the signs of Sagittarius and the sign of Libra. So you Libra, Sagittarius, Aries, and Gemini rising are less inclined to be rattled by these kinds of events through the Taurus axis right now, which can be intense for the other signs. Obviously, if you're a earth sign, a Capricorn, or you're an earth sign, which is a Virgo, these are flowing towards you. So despite the intensity of Algol, for you guys, it can be the positive side of the Algol story. Something good is trying to happen here. Something prosperous may be emerging for you, because Algol can be used in magic to create wealth. And certainly the founding fathers decided to make the freaking sun of the New York Stock Exchange on Algol, because they thought they could do magic. There's a great story about Middle Ages attempt to harness Algol by one of these kind of like Florentine wealthy types, who had probably been helping Rembrandt or something. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, it went askew. I learned that story from Nina Griffin when I was learning astrological magic from her. I don't remember the details, but it was kind of like, be careful what you do with stars that are as intense as Algol. I wouldn't be doing a magical talisman on Algol myself, but it can bring wealth. Okay, so it is one of the potential wealth stars, but with such it's like trying to handle a nuclear device to get a wealth outcome. You have to be very careful. You don't blow yourself up or poison yourself with it. Also, the other thing I'd say is that the trines are good, right? Those are the water trines, but the sextiles also get a bit of love here and aren't too, gnarled up by this particular eclipse. I mean, they may be feeling something positive coming up coming from it for the Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising people. Okay, especially Rising, because you're in a sextile to this event. And same with the Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising could be very positive for you as well. So not to think that everybody's going to feel this as a difficulty at all. That's not true. So let's go ahead and do all signs. We're going to start with Aries, and I'm going to leave this backdrop behind me because it looks like Aries. That's the horns there. And then I'll try to change the backdrop for you guys on this one. So Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign in your sky. This is happening in your second house of earnings and money and possessions. Now, go back as an Aries rising and ask yourself, did anything gnarly happen to you back in November of 21? Add 6 months that had to do with money and finances. And if so, what? And if not, maybe don't worry so much about it. Because again, it's an aversion. It's very subtle to you. It's only 30 degrees away. Certainly, if you have planets in your second house of earnings near the 27, 8, 29 degrees of your chart, yes, I would think that maybe you want to take note of those second house planets. That's where you might see an astrologer. Don't ask me in the comments to tell with all your planets in the second house. I can't do personal financial readings or health readings. That would be a lawsuit for me. But I would say, look to what goes on in the last 5 degrees of your second Taurus house. And are there any particular planets there that would participate both in the November 19th of 2021 eclipse and now the actual just new moon here, and try to make pattern recognition happen for you and try to avoid the same calamity if something calamitous happened back in the day. The eclipse is also the house of your face and food you eat. And it's a new beginning, a new moon, a new face on the world, a new earning strategy, a new beginning for greater wealth. Don't forget, depends on where your natal Venus sits in your chart, but it could be a big wealth upgrade for some of the Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising people. And also you may change your food style and begin something intensely new. It could always happen with any new beginning in the second house. With Venus, the Lord of this lunation, in your fourth house, property, land, home, and real estate, money, and wealth are all connected. The triple thresholds goddess is suggesting a crossing, a threshold, a new beginning. And Sirius, the dog star, is also fame as well as success. So it has some positive energy as well, potentially with Mars anoretic. This is portending in the 6 months that follow as you wait for that full moon in Taurus coming up in the October timeframe or in the fall, that you're looking at the potential for a very significant wealth move and upgrade. I like this for you guys more than I dislike it, but maybe I'm prone to partiality with my moon and my sun in Aries, but I had no calamity coming off my finances from the 2021 November action. I don't have any planets at the 27th, 28th degree of Taurus in my second house, so maybe I got off easy, but I encourage you to take a look at your own sky to make this more sensible for you. And change of what you do in the home that's very fortunate for you could also be a code for this sky, but you're at a cross points, at thresholds, and a turning point, and it involves earnings, money, possessions, home, thrival, and good things hopefully coming off the new moon. And then it lasts for about 6 months when we come to a full moon in the fall, and then there's a culmination of this narrative in your sky. Alrighty, and by then the eclipses have moved out of Taurus, and there's no longer any kind of financial expansion, turbulence, or momentum the same way you've experienced, especially since the beginning of 22, waning by the July of this year, and petering out after the October eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus. So if you have anything 5 Taurus, watch for that October 28th eclipse. Taurus is your whole sign, second house of earnings. Anything else I want to say? No, that's about it. Let's keep going and talk about the next sign. And I need to change the backdrop for you. That makes it easier for my time-stamping sister and for you guys when you're watching in the live premiere. Hey, are you in my live premiere? And have you forgotten to hit my like button or just never thought about it because I didn't remind you? Please think about it. It's an algorithmic yay. And it makes the algorithm just want to share my content after the premiere's over, depending on how many people like it during the premiere, the live chat when I'm chatting with you. Welcome to all my regulars, the Pharaoh Writer, and Mercury with a Message, and Jupiter 8, and Stephen the Jupiterian, and the Crystalline Alchemist, and Bold and Beautiful Tarot, and Purple Table Tarot. Love the same people showing up. Of course, LA Taylor Misbehaving. I always shout my Scottish people into the story as well. These are people show up every time. So thanks for being there in the chat box with me. Let's go ahead and do the next sign. It took me this long to cue. Sorry about that. We're talking next about Taurus, obviously. This is intense for them, of course, because Tauruses have been going through it with the eclipses, Taurus. All right, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, the first thing I got to say, obviously, is this is in the house of you. If you're rising sign, Taurus especially, sun and moon, sun can be mom, sun can be dad, moon can be mom, sun can be career and purpose, moon can be home and safety and body, you know? So bottom line, look for your ascendant. It's everything about you. If your ascendant is near 28 degrees, sun and moon secondarily, give or take, let's say 24 to 29 degrees, this is going to be extremely important for you. It's going to hit you in a more intense way than all other Tauruses. So go back to the November 2021 when we had the Algol eclipse at 27 Taurus. Now we've got a new moon in the same hot spot in the sky. What is eclipsing in your life? What is changing in your life? What is being rattled in your life late back then? And now is coming to a new beginning. So is there something specific to do with your identity, the way you see your life, the way you approach your purpose, your career, your home, your significant others? Because from the vantage point of your first house, it's looking around at all of the other houses, really. So these are things that impact everything in your life, this kind of intensity around eclipses back in November, new moon now, Algol is intensity, right? During this new moon, it's not an eclipse, Mercury, the Lord of your house of finances, is sitting nearby. So this definitely for you also could impact your second house of earnings as well as your identity. And unfortunately, be cautious for your health and physical well-being in the wake of this eclipse, certainly in the 2 weeks after, not in the 6 months after. Just be careful around body care, health, etc. Especially, as I said, 24 degrees to 29 degree Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Venus, though, the Lord of this eclipse is sitting, or the Lord of this new moon, I apologize, is sitting in your third house of siblings, trips and travel, short distance travel, skills-based learning, online platforms, and your local neighborhood, sometimes commuting. And you know, Mars is anaretic here. Watch out for car accidents, not to worry you, but late degree Taurus people, be cautious around car accidents as you look at the 2 weeks that follow this new moon. At the same time, though, there could be some developments with a sibling that are relatively positive. Venus is in a whole sign sextile to this particular new moon. So if you do have siblings in your life that you are in touch with, especially younger siblings, but siblings in general, I mean, Venus is sextiling from fixed star Sirius. So she's got strength here. She may be trying to mitigate mitigate, calm down, soften some of this intensity, some of this crazy ass intensity that's going on here. Technically, I feel like she's bottom line offering some kind of turning point with siblings, or some kind of turning point with online world stuff that you're doing, or some kind of turning point with things to do with shops, restaurants, local neighborhood venues, and your own interest in them, including financially as well. And certainly trips and travel domestically are a part of what Venus could bring on here. I don't like Mars anaretic here. So again, be very careful with travel, that you are extra diligent around safety, etc. It only applies, what I'm saying, to the 2 weeks after this moon. Okay. Not going to hold you to that for 6 months. All right. Anything else, Taurus? A new moon, a new beginning on Algol could be you wealthing up in your life, moving into new strength and territory in something that has been possibly very difficult for you over the last year or two, as eclipses and more have been beleaguering you as a zodiacal being, one of the Tauruses of our story. And these eclipses are waning. And the last eclipse, October 28th at 5 degrees Taurus, is a pretty light touch eclipse. And it's the last one you need to think about. So that impacts mostly the first 10 degrees Taurus, sun, moon, and rising people. And it could actually be very positive at that time because Jupiter will be in the place where this last eclipse happens, as he is trying to help out on this eclipse as well. Oh, not eclipse, as it was trying to help out on this new moon as well. Let's keep on going and talk next to the Gemini people. All right, need some more of my water. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well. What's going on? What's going on? You're one of the soft touches flanking this actual new moon, as you've been flanking all of the eclipses, not particularly involved, just on the sideline with popcorn. Yet the eclipse does happen in a place in the sky back in November of 21 on that Algol, and now a new moon on Algol. And that place in your sky is your 12th house. It is a very subtle place. And if you're not into your trancing meditation dreams and subtle excavations of your past lives, you may not even notice it. However, it is also money you accrue from foreign shores and lands, as well as your own self-undoing and self-defeating, where you fall away from yourself into self-defeating habits, patterns, sabotaging stuff. Perhaps a new beginning is a new moon. You get rid of an old habit, a pattern. My sun has progressed to Gemini, so maybe that's me, reducing wine consumption to my 1 8-ounce glass a day. The other day I had a glass of wine. Yesterday it was 1 ounce. It was a 1 8-ounce glass of wine, and my partner said to me, soulmate partner said, "That's a glass of wine, isn't it 6 ounces?" I go, "No, in my universe it's 8." So things like that. If you need to wean away and do something, new moon is going to support that. If you have a substance abuse habit, pattern, addiction, or anything that's just not good for you, you could let it go, new beginnings, as a result of this particular new moon on the 19th of May. Add 2 weeks for the most rollout, but of course, full fulfillment in the fall when we'll have a fall moon in Taurus, right? So, full moon in Taurus. What else? I would say as well, be hyper attentive to your dreams at night. Mercury is a dream messenger. He is present in your 12th house to June 11th. So you could have some incredibly powerful dreams because there's a wealth star involved here. Well, first of all, you dream of corpses and terrible things and beheaded gorgons with snakes on their head. Well, that's just that Algol star being activated. But otherwise, you may have some dreams like at night that help you come up with new ideas, Mercury's ideas for creating a greater wealth and revenue sources for your life, especially if it involves foreign lands and foreign shores, international revenue. Venus is in your second house of money. So she does bring the money and revenue and earnings story back to the story as the Lord of this particular Algol new moon, and Hecate at triple thresholds, which way should you go, left, right, or straight ahead? And then Sirius, the dog star, very good for wealth and fame especially. Venus diva, if you're a Gemini rising or sun moon, you might experience a little micro celebrity in the 2 weeks that follow this eclipse. And that could happen to any of us who have Gemini activations, like my sun progressed there. So keep that in mind. Be cautious with spending. Mars is anoretic in your second house. You could spend up a storm. You might be tempted to buy some expensive object, a new possession that you don't really need or want, and regret it later. And the star connected to this anoretic Mars Venus story is cautionary note around wild abandon in spending. Venus is protecting you from financial loss, however, but Mars can be stealth and stealing. So be careful with how you have all your passwords and where you keep your treasure chest of valuables in your home so that nothing is stolen from you in any regard. Okay, that's forewarned for the Gemini sun, moon, but rising sign is the most accurate. If you're a Cancer sun, moon, or rising sign, and most accurate is your rising sign, as I say every video, when someone asks me in the comments, if it's more accurate, my sun or moon, I think, don't I say it over and over again? Like a rising sign should be more accurate, exceptions to the rule, but I'm not going to explain that here. Maybe I'll do a video short on that. Maybe I will. So what I'm going to say for you guys as a Cancer sun, moon, and rising is this. This is an area of the sky that sextiles your sun, moon, and rising, flows to you. Sextiles are the nature of Venus. They're positive. Trines are positive. They're the nature of Jupiter. So because a trine and sextile is a positive influence, and that is a flow aspect from your house of good spirit, which is a great gains from your career financially and in reputation, including fame, and because fairy godmothers and fathers live there and your wishes and dreams can be fulfilled there, maybe this is not so bad. So if you're a Cancer sun, moon, and rising, having a new moon up here, yay you. Go back though to what happened in November of 2021 in the wake of that, even in the months that followed, because that was an eclipse in this part of your sky, a lunar eclipse on Algol, and you may have experienced some calamity, especially if your Cancer sun, moon, and rising is anywhere, let's say between 24 and 29 degrees of Cancer, and you were tightly impacted in November of 21, and again, as a new moon on Algol occurs again. What was calamitous about things that had to do with siblings, older siblings especially, friends and allies, if anything, by the way, financial great gains from your career, your reputation, perks and rewards, the red carpet rollout, a dastardly dashing of a dream or hope back then in November 21 or not. So think about it, because it may not be that bad, because this is such a benevolent house, and Jupiter this time around, unlike 2021 November, wasn't there to support something good. However, he is coming up to that Rahu activation, which I'll be doing a whole video on. That's happening around the 27th of May. And Hellenistic astrology would suggest that Jupiter's goodness is enhanced. Other astrology, especially from India, would suggest that there's a demon fighting with a guru in the house of your great gains, and the house of siblings, and the house of sometimes windfalls, like pennies from heaven. With Algol, though, being involved, and now Jupiter, some of you may be getting a windfall or some financial benefit or gain through an elder sibling. In the wake of this new moon, look to the 2 weeks that follow, but maybe even the 6 months that follow for that story to unfold. Venus is in the house of you, making you more attractive, beautiful, congenial, friendly, persuasive, and likable. She's on the fixed star of Sirius at the time. She's got a lot of momentum and power, and that is a fame star. And if you want to put your ticket out there to be famous on the online world or anywhere else, this could be a great opportunity through friends, allies, and other people to boost your profile and your visibility in the world. Certainly, you can definitely get what you want with Venus on the ascendant. It's like you are charming, and you are seductive, and you are persuasive, and you are charismatic. You got your charm offense on, so it's a great time to promote yourself. It's a great time to be more visible in the world and to love yourself as you are, but you may feel yourself being more beautiful as a result of this transit. All right, I have a whole video about Venus going through the sign of Cancer that's coming up shortly, and you may be getting it before or after this video, but check the description box as you Cancer rising. Definitely want to tune into that. All right, we shall continue onward, and next it's the Leo people. And Leo, you are the bold, courageous, big-hearted, performing fire energy that is a part of the sky for you. And where we see this is in Taurus, which we call angular. It squares you from the 10th house where this new moon happens. Now, new moon is in the career house, right? Career and reputation, how the world sees you, activating your purpose in the world. You're a student, your career is to be a student. You're a parent staying at home, that's your purpose. And people see you doing that. And this is the area of visible actions in the world, praxis. Well, your visible actions in the world back in November of 2021 with a 27-degree lunar eclipse could also be playing out as a redo energy now at 28 degrees of the same place, Taurus. It's only likely that if you have a late degree Leo, somewhere 24 degrees to 29, that you felt any calamity last November in the 6 months that followed in your career and reputation status. Similarly, this may be more important if you're a late degree Leo, sun, moon, and rising, that you're going to feel again something replaying there. Bottom line, losing your head, like off with their heads, Marie Antoinette, beheading. Did someone get fired in your workspace? Did you get fired? Was somebody almost fired? What kind of intensity has been happening up here during the last, November of 2021 since then? But now it's coming back for a new beginning and a fresh start of some kind. I mean, Uranus is up there. Ooh, Mercury's up there. Jupiter's up there, like a head honcho, big news, sudden shocking surprises, and the people above you or the bosses or things like that could be falling out into the sky, into your story in the 2 weeks that follow this new moon. That could be the calamity of Algol, who gets fired, right? I mean, Sun is the leader, Jupiter is the leader. It could be some head honcho in your work career space getting decapitated. Or if you're that person, you could be the one decapitated. I hate to say it. Now, Venus in the 12th house of backroom deals and negotiations as the lord of this new moon on the powerful fame and potentially wealth star, also sometimes turbulence, Sirius. Sirius is also part of the narrative. Certainly women behind the scenes may be operating to support you successfully in your career. Also, you may experience with the anaretic Mars as well, in your 12th house, some changes in your work and career that have to do with the word international or foreign shores. Some of you might move to a foreign shore or have some foreign shore activation of career stories throughout this energy over the 2 weeks that follow this new moon. You're ruled by the sun, so of course every new moon has got particular importance for you. So because a solar ruled being, like a Cancer ruled being, which I didn't talk about for Cancers, this makes any new moon and full moon especially significant. Anything else? Whew. Sitting with it, guys. No, I think that's everything. For the most part, it looks like career, reputation, visible reputation, purpose, energy being highly refreshed. Okay. And there could be some new wealth there because Algol can bring actual wealth. It doesn't always have to be bad or negative or hard. But I can't pretend it's also not a hard, difficult star. Every dark moment has a silver lining. So if somehow you get fired, someone gets fired, there's calamity in career workspace activations, it will somehow be all good in the very end. Yeah, it's a platitude. I'm entitled. Astrologers speak in platitudes. All right. We want to make you all feel better. Even if things look really dark and difficult. All right. Because you know what? No one wants to hear bad news all of the time, right? So here we go again. We're talking next about the sign Virgo. Everyone knows now one of my best friends is Virgo rising. My son's a Virgo sun. My daughter is a Virgo rising. I'm surrounded by Virgo. My mom was a Virgo sun. You can't get enough of you guys. So I love it. But here I go. Every time I talk Virgo, I think of people I know. So for you guys, this is Earth trine flow. So you're one of the signs that I mentioned in the beginning will experience flow, especially if you are 20, let's say 24, 25 degrees to 29 degrees Virgo, sun, moon, or rising. My daughter's 27. You guys get the most flow from this. My daughter is in a trine to Algol. And when I think about the Algol eclipse, the lunar eclipse of November 2021, and I try to partake of my daughter's story, she was in school. The ninth house is where this is happening for you. You're having a Earth trine, everybody, Virgo, from foreign lands, foreign shores, academia, court and legal matters, things to do with third marriages in one of the Vedic systems I like to use, things to do with your belief and faith in churches and gods and gurus and temples. Okay. Whew. And a luck and a Lakshmi house that can bring wealth. So all of that said, father figures, all of that said, all those nice house themes are active. Go back, especially the late degree Virgo rising sun and moon, and ask yourself, what was happening that was a change direction? Was it difficult or easy? Could it involve wealth or calamity, or was it flowing from the November eclipse in the same hot spot in the sky that is this new moon? All right. So my daughter, I'll give you an example. She was in university. She's finishing up her psych degree, but she had to change schools in 2021. And so this is an eclipse that corresponds with the fall in a change of educational settings. And that change has benefited her, and she's getting straight A's, and she actually is doing well. So for her, it played out as a positive change, lunar eclipse in an educational setting, and she went to a new school. Okay. So think about it that way. It's not always bad. This is trining to your ascendant. So some Virgos might decide they're going to move to a foreign country, or they're going to do a lot of extensive travel to a foreign country, new moon, new beginning, foreign lands, new legal outcomes in your favor, maybe. Maybe you're going to get a settlement, some output, some financial output. If you're in a third marriage, meaning a third term, long-term relationship that's like a marriage, this will benefit that relationship and give it a new beginning, but it may involve mutually shared wealth. Venus, this lunation lord, this new moon lunation lord, is in your house of great gains from your career, fairy godmother, fairy godfather, wishes coming true, friends and allies and benefactors, particularly women or elder siblings supporting you in some way, some potential for some windfall energy and money luck from this, especially for most of you. If you have an elder sibling, something beneficial can come through and from them as well. It could be very awesome. You could have a fight with a sibling, or a fight with a friend or ally with that Mars aneretic, but still everything looks like it's going to turn out. And the 11th house can be getting you some kind of financial windfall from a father figure. And Mars aneretic rules your house of inheritances, and he's involved with Venus sextiling the new moon, perhaps in the 2 weeks to 6 months that follow. For some of you Virgos, father figures are going to benefit you financially, and that can include inheritances as well. Okay. And anything else I'd say? Nope. Well, Mercury, the lord of your story, the most important planet for you as a Virgo rising, is situated with this energy of the new moon in Taurus. And so he would be supporting more positive benefits for you from this new moon than negative benefits. Like, it looks mostly good for you. I think it's an upgrade financially, but remember all the ninth house themes that I indicated for you. Okay. Professional advancement as well. He rules your 10th house of visible reputation. So monetary, professional advancement, gains in higher education, foreign lands, foreign travel, visas, passports, and third marriages. Let's keep going and talk about the next sign. I have to remember to update the backdrop, which I always forget. Give me a sec. I'm really negligent on that sometimes, and that makes my time stamping sister not as happy either. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign, especially, always most accurate. Exceptions to the rules, of course, but for the most part, look at your rising. So Libra rising, sun, moon, let's talk about you. First of all, the eclipse is under the purview of the Venus, which is the lord of your sky, the most important planet for all Libra risings. So there's just that. And she's sextiling the vibe of this new moon. If I said eclipse, I apologize, new moon. And so if you are a Libra rising, this is going to be something that I would say you have a little Venusian love to protect you. And it has to do with your career and reputation and how, where Venus is sitting, how she can support you from an eclipse in your financial house. Which one? Your 8th house. Shared resources with a partner, inheritance, stock investments, severance packages, grants, taxes, tax rebates, credit cards, mortgages, leveraging money that doesn't belong to you. Certainly, this can be a bonus here with Algol. Go back, first of all, because you're a soft touch, you're an aversion. But what was happening November 21st, add 6 months from this Algol eclipse in your finance house? Did you have an updraft, a downdraft? Did it work to bring you more money, less money? And keep that in mind, because you also have father figures involved potentially with Mercury in the space of the sky. Some of you may be looking at some inheritance from a father or patrilineal lineage person in the 2 weeks to 6 months after this new moon. But you're also getting a lot of uplift from Venus. So Venus is saying, well, let me help you here, she says, with Sirius, the fame star and success star in your house of career and reputation. So Libras, you could be getting a real, flow up, a glow up, flow up in the 2 weeks after this lunation. That's also financial. 8th house money can be book royalties, for example, passive income, residual income. For some of you, you're going to be making money and passive residual income ways as a result of this. If you don't have that in gear yet, that's something that could be up leveled for you as time goes on. As this thing unfolds over the next few weeks or days or months, I'm having a hot flash. Yes, I can't believe I'm still having hot flashes at 61. I need a fan in here. It's a warm day in Vancouver. The window's open, but guys, I'm hot flashing. Yes, I move my body. I tell you about my life. I'm a real person. Don't like that? Go watch a talking head. Okay. Fuck. Don't laugh at me when I'm doing a recording. Oh, holy man, it's so hot in here. Whew. All right, moving on. Somebody else is laughing at me behind me. Yes, it's my soulmate, James. I'll tell you his address, all his social media, and his last name in my next video. So moving into the next story. No, I think I got one more thing to say about Libra. Right. A woman in your office, a woman in your workplace, a female higher up. Yes. Big, interesting energy 2 weeks after. You can get a job offer, a triple thresholds crossroad job offer with super intense momentum as Mars is anoretic. You're changing your job, but some of you could be changing your career. Look for women to be allies, and you could also get massive upgrades and promotions and raises with Venus involved and Algol, a wealth star. So, or a severance package or a sign-on bonus. That's amazing. So a lot of you Libras have that narrative playing out over the 2 weeks after this new moon, but also perhaps in the 6 months after. Every new moon is connected to a full moon 6 months later, so keep that in mind. Now we're moving on to the next sign. Next is, oh my God, I am so hot. Don't forget, if you're in the live premiere watching with me, we're chatting in the chat room box thingy. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. It really helps the channel grow. And if you're watching this later on, why don't you join me in my Patreon community and get all these videos ad free? Someone complained 3 times about an ad recently, and I'm like, I can't help you. That's YouTube giving me ad revenue. It's how I make a living. It's a profession, guys. If you don't want that, you can sign up for YouTube's Premium Plus for like, I don't know, $5 a month and get no ads on any of your YouTube videos, or join my Patreon community and get no ads and everything before the general public, and also 2 meetings with me a month. There's so many ways to bypass ads if ads are irritating. Finally, timestamps, just jump to your sign and bypass ads. So anyway, enough of that. Let's keep going. And we're moving on to the next sign, which is Sagittarius. Let me get the back end moved around. It takes me a little while to do that. It's 4:40 p.m. here in Vancouver, Canada, as I'm moving this all around. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Well, of course, this is going to be very important because it's opposite your sign. So it's happening in the house of the significant other. That would be your marriage partner, business partner, your audience, clients, marketplace, 10th from the 10th, especially if your midheaven is in the 10th house, especially. It's how you reach out to your client's audience. Midhouse is only in the 10th house in whole sign houses by floating, because it can be in your, guess what, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th house if you use whole sign houses, because we're accommodating for time of year and latitude and longitude. So floating midheaven in the 10th house. But nonetheless, all Scorpio risings will be feeling, okay, the energy of something with their significant other going on here. It's probably not about you. Go back to November. So your Scorpio sun, moon, and rising, and your sun, moon, and rising is in what? The last 5 degrees of the sign, or 6 degrees of the sign of Scorpio. Then this energy, just like the eclipse there in the same part of your sky in November 21, is very intense for you. Super powered energy. So I have a Scorpio rising sign, but it's rising signs like, 9 degrees or something of Scorpio. So he just not been rattled so much by it. Although he did have some difficulty with his main squeeze as a result of all the intense energy of the eclipses through the house of self and other, and that's coming out the other end now. But ask yourself, if you're a late degree Scorpio rising, secondarily sun and moon, what kind of intensity happened? November 21 at 6 months. Now, this one is a new beginning, a new moon, and it can bring wealth, but it could be your partner's wealth. Maybe you don't get the wealth. Maybe it's your main squeeze that gets the money. Maybe your business partner is leveling up and you're participating in some kind of financial glow up from your partnerships in life, including business and legal contracts as well, can be the energy of that. So you could sign a very lucrative legal contract as a result of this eclipse. You never know. Also, because Algol is connected with Mercury here, Mercury is a god of contracts, deals, and negotiations. Again, Scorpio rising sun and moon, looking at maybe some lucrative legal contracts and deals. Venus is in the 9th house of book publishing, super juicy for those of you who are thinking about publishing a book. Also, you could get some really financial goodness coming through a father figure, but you'll have to sign legal contracts. For Scorpio rising, it may look like inheritance money with Mercury, Lord of the house of inheritance, is involved as well in this new beginning. A new moon is 2 weeks after, but also up to 6 months after, looking at potential inheritance monies from father figure. Anything to do with foreign lands and foreign shores, higher academia settings, that's a Venus story, up leveling you there. But passports, foreign shores, visas, legal and court matters, and third marriages could also be bringing in great financial gain for you 2 weeks after this new moon and up to 6 months after as well. You're going to know if this is going to feel easy or not based on how it felt from November of 21. Again, that mostly depends on being a late degree Scorpio rising or not. Sun and moon is secondarily. Scorpio, Mars is the ruler of you, and Mars is anaretic during this new moon. He's at the 29th degree of the 9th house. That could mean you're going to make a major change in your life connected to legal matters, foreign lands, third marriages, courts and court situations, judges, and all of that. Venus is bonifying you up there, and she could bring you positive outcomes in legal matters if you need that support. But there's a change of direction, change of something to do with 9th house matters. If you're a student, it could be a change of academic focus, for example, or a change of schools or something like that. Look for women who are foreigners or from foreign countries, or females in legal settings to be an ally. Very powerful star that Venus is sitting on, Sirius, and a thresholds, crossroads energy with a female in foreign countries, foreign lands, foreign shores. I mean, come on, Venus could be a love story for you. This is Venus flowing to your house of you, trining the house of romance, sextiling the house of significant love. There could be a major new romance coming out of this 2 weeks after this new moon, or up to 6 months after. But your Venus needs to be involved in legal matters, courts, academic settings, or foreigner status, like, foreigner to you, right? You speak a different language, has a different religion, different skin color, like a foreigner, not necessarily female, but love story, right? So I'm going to separate that from male, female energy. All right. So good luck with that. Scorpios, again, for you, it's really about someone opposite you for the most part. You might not even feel it's about you, and you're on the sidelines watching some other person have a lot of action. Let's go into Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign people. Let's say this about Sagittarius, okay? Whew, Jupiter's the Lord of you, and he's connected to being in the house of this particular lunation. I like that. He protects you. He tries to hold fort for you. He's got your back in most cases. And yet this is also an inversion. It's 150 degrees away. So it's a very light touch. Most Sag risings, especially sun and moon, barely notice what's going on over there, but it can improve your health. It can give you an opening for a new position in work or a new work opportunity. However, also, you may want to take care of your health. Off with their head. Taurus rules the neck, right? Neck and shoulders. Also, you could be very cautious then about neck injury, shoulder injury, things to do with hurting yourself. So keep your wits about you in the 2 weeks after this eclipse, 2 weeks after this lunation, that you don't injure yourself. If you want to go back to November of 2021, was there any injury that happened in the 6 months that followed, or any a major eclipsing energy around your work, getting fired, changing your job, changing everything else? I mean, my Sag son, ex-husband, kicked out of his work and retired as a result of that eclipse. It wasn't hard. He wanted to do it. But you may do things like change your job dramatically, change your career, change your work, or quit your work, all of that. Venus is in the house, the lunation lord Venus is in the house of other people's money. This can definitely look like some financial gain through an inheritance, a tax rebate, getting a great mortgage on a property for you, especially if you exalt your house of property and real estate, finding some good things happening collaboratively with your business and love partner in finances. Algol is a well star, so there's a lot of potential upswing for you with Venus in a money house sextiling a broad sextile to this new moon. Watch out for pets. Yeah, a pet could be injured, a calamitous event with a pet, unexpected events with a pet. That doesn't look so easy, I have to say. If you're single and you're a Sag, secret love affairs, watch out for that. Algol will be like off with your head, but it can, with Venus in the 8th house, look like the onset of a secret love affair, starting with the new moon on the 19th. Add 2 weeks or even add 6 months. Did you get your head chopped off from a secret love affair in the past? Don't do it again. It could be gnarly. A turning point in your finances with your spouse, with your business partner, or with the way you invest in the markets, or the way your retirement funds look as well, coming off the 2 weeks after this. Certainly with Venus literally as exaltation lord of property for you, your 4th house, this could be very much about securing either a rental property or a purchase property successfully, maybe in the 2 weeks after this new moon. Okay. All right, let's move on and continue with the next sign, which is Capricorn. If you're in the live premiere and you still have yet hit my like button or subscribe to my channel, please do. Check my description box for everything I'm doing, including getting a reading with me or joining my Patreon community for $5 a month. Everything below that you need to know is down there under the description box. That's that thing underneath the video, underneath the title of the video. Okay, so Capricorn, sun, moon, and most accurately rising sign. You're basically looking at this from the vantage point of flow and good luck, because it is a flowing trine to the lucky 5th house for Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. I don't mind this at all. Now, you could have had calamitous upsets if you're a late degree Capricorn, but they had a silver lining when it comes to things to do with your children and your romantic life, or to do with your business and business partnerships. If not partners, but your entrepreneurial endeavors, because back in November 2021, that full moon was on Algol in this house, but it really mostly impacted perhaps 24 to 29 degree Capricorn rising, sun and moon secondarily. Now this is back again. It's just a pure lunation. It's a new moon. It's not an eclipse, but it may make that story come back again, or complete a story, or connect to that story. So, off with their heads with your lover, off with their heads with your children. Those are the downsides, but it's a money luck house where people win lotteries, and Jupiter is there and play casinos and win. And that's exciting. And North Node could expand Jupiter's luck here. Why not? Venus is in the house of partnerships. Would you buy a lottery ticket with your partner and marriage partner, another kind of partner? Is there some kind of contractual relationship that leads to some money, financial upside for you? Venus is making your love partner or marriage partner beautiful to you and to themselves, and they're also very lucky right now. But this can be any kind of partnership. So being in a financially lucrative partnership can open up for you in the 2 weeks that follow this new moon. Your partner may be lucky. You may be lucky because your partner's lucky. Really is, but you can narrow it down to that simple. Mars exalts you, and he's at the 29th energetic degree in the house of marriage and partnerships, including love. So this is an exciting energy with Mars as the exaltation lord. Triple thresholds goddess is Hecate. She's asking you to make a turning point threshold crossing. Sirius, the dog star, is on this Venus, who's a lunation lord, a very solid and important and significant turning point in a significant business or love relationship, or both. Can be happening in the 2 weeks that follow the May 19th eclipse. Okay. Because Jupiter is at home and in the 5th house and supporting things here, and 5th house is Venus's house of joy. I don't feel mostly this is negative. There's such a trine flow to the ascendant or sun and moon that it feels positive, but I can't say it's not turbulent because of the anaretic Mars, because it's Algol, but it's intensity, but it's not necessarily negative intensity. I'm sitting with this one a little more because, Venus can exalt your house of journeys, trips, and travel. And she's connected to that 5th house lunation. So some of it may be a chance to travel. May 19th, add 2 weeks. That has a significant impact on your financial output and your relationship with someone significant in your life. Venus moving through your marriage house tends to mean, and she's in Cancer for a few weeks, right? Something like a glow up in significant business and love partnerships. Or women coming to you, offering you opportunities in business and love partnerships. At the same time, your 5th house is on fire, romance, sexuality, children, and money luck. There's a whole frigging stellium in there in the month of May. So let's see how that plays out for you. Certainly Jupiter in your 5th house as Capricorn rising, sun and moon is going to be very lucky in general. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's keep talking about the next sign. Oh, almost finished. I am an Aquarius rising like you guys. All right. So I have my Aquarius rising around 16 degrees of Aquarius. We are experiencing right now Pluto in our 1st house. We feel a sense of heavy intensity, but also potency and power. As this is a new version of us, we will experience over the next 20 years. I have to always talk about that for every Aquarius rising, especially because it's a big effing deal. We won't get that again for 240 odd years. So we may as well tap into this obvious huge energy that's here for us, because we also have this new moon in our 4th house of home, property, land, and real estate. Then this is going to be a likely new beginning and a new home that follows not only in the 2 weeks after this new moon, but certainly in the 6 months that follow until we get to the fall full moon. But if you go back to November 19th, 2021, at 27 degrees of Taurus, there was an eclipse here. And that could have destabilized your home with an off with her head's energy. Like, Medusa's head is cut off and it's intense. Well, I'll give you my example. I was renting a property from a girlfriend, and a little did I know that she was going to decide to change her mind. And although she did not change her mind in November of 21, she didn't change her mind until the fall of 22. That was a portent of something that could be going on to do with property, land, and real estate that would be unexpected. Ruled by Venus, of course, that's a female. The other thing I can say is that if this is going to change your home, it can bring you a more wealthy home, a more luxurious home, a more Algolian home of the nature of the wealth of the star Algol. And it can be very exciting and sudden with Uranus there, and Mercury deals in negotiations and communications, and Jupiter, bigger, wealthier, better home. And why that can happen is Venus is on a star that's very positive, Sirius, that also has a great deal of power, and she's a ruler of this new moon. It may happen in the 6 months that follow, or as I said, or the 2 weeks that follow. Either is possible. The other way would be a new rental home, because Venus is in the house of renting things, renting property. So that's also possible. You could also look at a condition here in which you're able to secure some kind of financial gain that allows you to pay off debt through the property buying and selling narratives. Now, you could have a very unexpected change in your home with Algol and Uranus down there in the North Node and Jupiter, but it looks positive. The only thing I say is because it's got the Uranus infusion, you may not be planning for what I'm seeing or what could be happening, but it feels like you're going to be grateful for it anyway. And, Venus is the exaltation lord of your revenue, earnings, and money house. And because she's connected to a wealth star in this eclipse by sextile and lunation lord, there could be a very dramatic and exciting uptick in your finances as a result of this particular new moon. Look to the 2 weeks or up to 6 months that follow. Okay, Mercury, the planet of your fifth house of money luck, is also co-present with this new moon. So some good financial money luck, upticks and upswings. But the main story is a change of home, but it's a better, more bigger, more yay you moment. Some home changes looking really good for either renting or buying. Could be buying. Mercury is lord of the mortgage houses. Either one works, okay? So get ready for that. Good for money, good for finances, good for earnings, good for even investment income, mortgages, and maybe a move. Anything else I didn't say? Mars is anaretic in the sixth house, a change of rental, a change of pet. Unfortunately, watch for pets having, difficult health challenges, if not sudden disappearances. And be careful someone doesn't steal a pet. Theft is Mars. He's anaretic, he's in debility, so keep an eye on your pet. And but you can definitely look at also eliminating any debt that you have dramatically as a result of this new moon. Mars eliminates, he's in the house of debt. Last and first and always first, the best and always best, the most amazing Pisces sun, moon, and rising people. Well, here we go. What is the story for you guys? Let's keep it simple. First of all, as a Pisces being, Jupiter is your planetary body that protects you and watches over you, and he is sitting in the house where this new moon is happening. So you got some kind of bona fide guardian and guardian angel energy going on here. So for you, it's not going to be at all difficult. Really, it's going to be mostly positive. Second of all, you felt this before. You didn't have Jupiter protecting you, though. November 2021, when there was a lunar eclipse here on Algol, off with their heads, calamity, difficulties, unexpected change of circumstance. This involves travel, trips, and moving or journeying around or going places as a result, usually domestically or within the continent in which you live, but it also could have involved siblings. Also could involve aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews. Could also involve themes that have to do with your online world or your local neighborhood. All of that was up for renovation, maybe in a dramatic way, on the 21st of November 19th, 2021. But that would apply to likely the late degree Pisces sun, moon, and rising between 24 and 29 degrees of Pisces. You could have lost your head with a sibling, lost your head with an aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, and nephew, had a falling out with those kinds of people. That lunar eclipse in November 21 also backwashes up to 5 months, 6 months before sometimes. So, think about it in a longer arc. Now this is back for a new beginning. So you have a new beginning with an aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew, sibling. You have a new beginning when it comes to a local neighborhood environment. So a change of your environment, a new neighborhood to live in. This is playing out as, again, the 19th of May, add 2 weeks. But also maybe 6 months, because it has to come to fruition in the fall with a full moon here. Jupiter being here is very benevolent. As I already mentioned, a lot of protection, good things are happening. Because the lord of this eclipse, lunation, is Venus, and she is sitting in your fifth house of money luck, lottery wins, speculation, great gains that can come through lucky breaks financially. Venus is definitely opening up a possibility of some financial luck, and it will connect to third house matters through a sibling, through a journey, through a trip, a travel, through things to do with your local neighborhood. Well, you buy a lottery ticket in a 7-Eleven or a supermarket or something. So therefore, for all the signs that are fit to print, please consider you lucky around potential money and wealth gains through lotteries. But it is likely a short-lived window of May 19th, add 2 weeks. Or, I'd say keep it to the tight window for this one, because you want Venus still to be in the fifth house and you want Jupiter to still be in the third. So yes, in the 2 weeks that follow, play lottery tickets. Don't break your bank. Don't take financial advice from an astrologer. Be sensible. It only takes one freaking ticket to win. The odds are so great. It doesn't matter if you buy 1,000 tickets. The odds are so great. Buy the one winning ticket and leave the rest behind. Okay. Love and romance and sexuality. Are you on fire? I don't know. Having you a glow up with your marriage partner, having a new romance come your way. Venus is moving through the romance house with Mars as well. That's a lot of sexual energy going on here, a lot of fun, play, and pleasure. So this is a new moon that could really incite some exceptional love, romance, and excitement, and developments that are positive with your children in the 2 months that follow, 2 weeks that follow, but a threshold's turning point here as well. So Venus, as the Lord of the lunation and owning that third house, that's why she's the lunation Lord. She does exalt your identity, your body, your health, and your sense of self. Look for a sense of really preening away about how amazing you feel about yourself in the 2 weeks that follow this particular new moon. Any calamity around Algol could be about a sibling, aunt, uncle, or cousin having something difficult happen to them. It may not be about you. So if there is calamity, it's maybe somebody else's, stuff, right? Mercury here, you could hear from these extended relatives as a result of this new moon. Pay attention to the 2 weeks that follow for hearing from stories about these people in your life. Any sibling will do, doesn't matter, or an aunt, uncle, niece, or cousin. Or a sibling could get really rich and it benefits you as well, or an aunt, uncle, niece, and cousin, nephew. Or a sibling is going to suddenly unexpectedly visit you, or you go to visit them. All these stories are possible. And anything else I'd say? Nope, not really. Looks like you could be really financially benefiting from this, and also romantically benefiting from this, and also your children could be benefiting from this in terms of passion, love, and romance in the 5th house, but also new beginnings and new moons in local neighborhoods, wealth, travel. I mean, honestly, Venus in the 5th loves leisure travel, pleasure travel. This is a new beginning in a house of travel. So maybe it's just as simple as some of you Pisces are going to do some pleasurable leisure travel that may or may not be involved around themes of romance or children in the 2 weeks that follow this new moon. Just watch out for Algol. No one should lose their head over anything, right? This could be like road trip with your loved one and you're fighting all the time because Algol is off with her head. So you can take conscious, proactive choices. Again, it sextiles you, so it's mostly positive. All right. I hope that was useful. Good luck with all of that. If you're Pisces rising, sun and moon, don't forget to hit my like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're live premiere. Everybody who's here, thank you for being here today. Appreciate you chiming in the chat with me, hanging out with me as we listen to this together. And my description box gives you everything you need to know about the sky and me and what I'm doing. So check it out below. Thanks, everyone. Have a great new moon. And recording on May 4th, there'll be an update because I want to see if this calamitous bank crashing, regional bank stuff is going to continue or not, and where things seem to be headed as we approach this difficult new moon on the sun of the New York Stock Exchange. All right. Ciao, ciao.